And you're watching special coverage of Nigeria's 2023 presidential election here on Arise News. I'm Charles Eniegolu.
I am Adesua Omoron.
Now, as Nigerians try to come to terms with the numerous challenges in Saturday's elections, including the issues associated with the bimodal voter accreditation system, or BVAS, Arise News can confirm that the Nigerian police has arrested members of a syndicate suspected to be involved in the manipulation of the BVAS. This follows a sting operation in an area suspected to be the operational center of the syndicate on Ganges Street in the rather posh Maitama district here in Abuja. The Nigerian police is currently investigating the illegal possession and suspected manipulation of the beavers. One of those being interrogated is the vice president of a company known as Emperor Technology. The arrested suspects are now said to be helping the police with their investigations.
Sorry. Hola.
Can I open the box?
This is astonishing. Kudos to the police, but we need to know more. Clearly labeled INEC. To what extent have these beavers been used in the current election process? Well, let's bring in our last guest for this final lap. And she is the Rise News analyst, Dr. Constance Ikokwu. Dr. Ikokwu, thanks for being on the show. I mean, we watched that breaking news together.
Yes.
What did you make of it? Your first impression?
Well, I guess people that have been alleging that there are manipulations ongoing or have gone on during the elections sort of have something to validate their accusations, although there has to be an investigation, as the police said there, to find out what really went on. And if at the end of the day these people are found wanted, they should face the law.
And let's get your sense of what's been going on today. We noticed that at the National Collation Center, the INEC is back to releasing the results in spite of the protests. We've also seen the PDP, the Labour Party and the ADC on the one hand, a rather extraordinary news conference that they held jointly, and then we saw a rebuttal from the APC, who also held their own press conference. What do you make of all of that? Do you think things are heating up, or are they going to die down fairly soon?
So we were talking about it just before we came on air. When is all this going to end? I mean, between yesterday and today, there has been a marathon of press conferences between all the parties, the Labour Party, the APC, and today the two vice presidents of the Labour Party and the PDP surprisingly came together and showed a united front because they have similar issues to complain about. And they were very strong in the words that they used, calling for cancellation. I mean, the chairman of the Labour Party had yesterday already called for cancellation outright of all the elections because they do not have confidence in the way that INEC has conducted the election. The thing, though, is that throughout all of this, when you look at the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, he has been calm. Most times you look at his face at the collation center, there's no expression. He's just there looking.
He's got a poker face. He's got what's called a poker face. You can't tell what he's thinking.
You cannot. Under immense pressure, I can imagine what he is going through, the kind of phone calls he's getting, the kind of meetings he has been in, where I don't even know whether he got some sleep last night. The weight of Nigeria is on his shoulders.
Absolutely.
And this is a momentous time. And people are looking at him and watching to see what move he makes. And nobody knows what this man is going to do. He has said he will not resign. You know, they have demanded that he resign. He's not going to resign. They have asked for results to be cancelled. It seems like he may not cancel it, at least as of today. And he has continued to collate the results or receive the collation of the results at the center there. So he is an interesting man. I don't know what he's thinking, but let's see what plays out.
I'd be astonished if you did.
I would have been worried.
I'm not a soothsayer.
Indeed,
yeah.
indeed. Well, but like Sona mentioned, when we crossed to him, he did mention that the INEC chairman had told the political parties, after the collation, we can review the process and then move on. But I want us to talk on the political parties and what we've seen today. Some people have described it as strange occurrence, where you have a Labour Party and the PDP holding joint press conferences from their spokespersons to their vice presidential candidates all in one day. Is this unity in what? In pain? Unity in what exactly is this all about?
What an expression, unity in pain. I think it's a show of force. I think it's a show of force. This is a very critical time, critical juncture in our country, and they believe that if they work together, perhaps the pressure that they can put on the ruling party, or the INEC chairman, will work. But the interesting thing that you also said is, I listened to the APC spokesperson who spoke earlier, and she mentioned the same thing that the INEC chairman said. Wait and go to the tribunal, the election petition tribunal, and there you can air your grievances. But people, I think, do not have faith in the justice system in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So once the results are declared, you go to court. It could be a drawn-out court case. You may never even get the justice that you desire. So why not stop now, listen, and see if we can make some amends and have a turnaround.
But I mean, the fact that there seemed to be, although Dino Malaya, who's a spokesman for the PDP, did say that there were 9 parties. From what we've seen, there seem to be 3 out of 18 political parties who've taken this position. The rest seem quite happy for the announcement of results to continue.
Well, most of the parties, let me be careful, use the word insignificant, like they do not have a lot of spread, and maybe they do not have a lot of results came in their favor. The main parties that have been affected massively, Labour Party and the PDP. Maybe the NNPP to some extent, but these 2 parties. And I think that is why you see that the other parties are sort of petted away because they're not in the game. Even leading into the elections, we had 4 main contenders and 4 leading candidates and 4 leading parties. And this is what you see at this time, where they're talking about the discrepancies in results, and they're disputing all the results. Is because of the numbers that they are getting in different states. Labour Party has won some states, the PDP has won some states, the APC, as it seems, is leading in the states that they have won. So it's between the 3 of them.
And what does this all mean? When you hear the candidates speak during the campaign, they're all willing to form a government of national unity. And then you have a situation on ground where the governing party says, continue with the coalition. The opposition parties are saying, we don't want this result because it's not our result. Does it question the sincerity of political parties in Nigeria and this whole the winner takes it all attitude? Where does that leave our democracy?
This is it's a complicated question, but a very important one, because in the past it seemed that, yes, the winner always took it all. It was a zero-sum game, which hasn't played out well for the country, because a lot of people feel left out, especially because the government is so centralized, and which is why people have been calling for a decentralization of our government, so that people feel like they have some power at their state levels or their regional levels to do what they need to do in order to bring development closer to them. So I think it's something that we have to discuss. Government of national unity, it sounds good, but do the right thing. I think most times if you do the right things, you know, the APC woman was talking about playing by the rules. But do you actually play by the rules? They said there are rules and regulations. Yes, we do have rules and regulations in this country. Do politicians play by them? Do they accept them? Do they do the right thing? So if you do the right thing, maybe you might not require a government on national unity. Maybe if you have a system that is accommodating to everybody, then you do not really need a government on national unity. This is something that we need to sort out as a country.
And we've got just like a minute and a half or so left. Going beyond the disputed presidential ballot, Adesua reminded me yesterday that it's not just the presidential ballot.
Yes.
There's also a National Assembly election. I mean, what's the picture that's emerging from that in your assessment? Because it looks like the Labour Party is slowly stamping its imprimatur on this country, having come from nothing previously.
You know, what I'm hearing in the streets is a lot of shock that the Labour Party came this far. You know, people started from saying they were two people tweeting in a room, to they were internet frenzy, noisemakers, to street noisemakers, to what we are seeing today. They've actually done well, even if they don't win the presidential election. 9 months ago, they were nowhere. So, you know, that party has been a phenomenon. A lot of the people that ran for House of Reps, National Assembly on Labour Party won. So it is good for Nigeria, I think, to have 3 major parties rather than 2, so people have an option.
Very well said. Major upsets we've seen in this election. Hopefully we get time to discuss them, you know, state by state. Actually, we have 2 more minutes.
Okay, let's ride on.
2 minutes ago said 2 minutes left.
And there's always 2 more minutes. So when you look at the major upsets, I mean, we have, at the last count that I checked, we had like 6 governors who are contesting to go to the Senate, but they lost out. How huge is that, or how minimal is that?
If you remember yesterday, I said Nigeria is changing. I think we are gradually coming to the days of accountability. I don't know how far it would take to get there, when, but we are getting there, especially because of the youth movement. This is a generation that is ready to take over. Well, you know, that's a general statement, but they seem to be ready to take over. They want to retire as many people as possible. That shouldn't be in government, that shouldn't be in power, that should be home with their grandchildren. And rightly so. Make space and make way for other people to use their capabilities, to work for their country, to have opportunities to grow. That is what it should be, not some set of old men. Of course, we'll all get old, being on the seat forever.
You make it sound like we should retire all the old people. Shouldn't there be a handshake between the old and the young?
The old should be grooming the young to take over, not stay put. Are we seeing that grooming happening? It needs to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. But in the meantime, Nigerians are still waiting with bated breath, counting, continuing after a tight election. Great hopes invested in this election.
Yes, great hope. I mean, it's been phenomenal, the kind of interest in this election. I mean, every day, Nigerians are glued to the television, radio set, listening, you know, voracious appetite for updates on what is going on, because they are eager for this to end so that they know where we are headed as a nation. We hope that this is wrapped up nicely. We hope that everything is resolved nicely, but it's an evolving story, so we shall see.
Constance, thank you very much indeed. Dr.
welcome.
Constance Ikokwu is an Arise News analyst, and she is, of course, a journalist in her own right. Thank you.
You're welcome.